Destiny, I want to thank you for taking the drive up and coming on the show. And so you're from Alabama originally, right on the border.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm leaving.
All right. So audience, we were joking around before. She had said she's from the Florida side, not the Alabama side.
Not the Alabama side.
Not that there's anything wrong with Alabamians.
No. No.
Or what is it? Is it a...
I don't know. It's not where I'm from, and it's the twang, and people just want to assume, and I guess it's just like a pride thing. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm from here. No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, Alabama has its backwood jokes like every other place, but it might just be like a pride thing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I would want to be from Florida.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'm a very prideful person. I try not to be today, but ego and pride I've done a lot with those.
Yeah.
So still a prideful person.
What was early childhood like for you?
Early childhood. That's actually funny. I'm doing a lot with my early childhood right now. I'm going through an actual new set of steps, ACA. I don't know if you're familiar.
Of course.
Holy cow.
Can you break that down for the audience? That's children of adult alcoholics, right?
Yeah.
Your parents.
Adult children of alcoholics. So ACA is kind of branched off with Al-Anon, which is family members, loved ones of somebody that struggles with addiction. ACOA. Now with ACOA, it's a little bit more broad. You can be an alcoholic, you can be a drug addict, you can just be somebody that grew up in a dysfunctional family is what it comes down to, growing up in dysfunction. And we take a lot of that dysfunction into our adulthood. So basically, those steps is like college level to 12 steps for like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. Doesn't take away from it all, but these steps go to the core, the root of the problem. Band-Aids come up that have been covered up for years. Very, very intense work. And I'm just getting started in it. But the big thing with that is I have spent, up until 6 years being sober, I had been in complete denial about my childhood. I had created this alternate reality of what really was. And I remember I was in therapy, and with my therapist, we had gone down this family timeline, and just talking about it, like my throat starts to close up. But she looked at me and she said, well, first things first, you've got to come out of denial, because through this whole timeline of this that happened here and that happened here, I had an excuse. There was something for everything rather than looking at it for just what it was. And then once I saw it on paper and I had a professional tell me, like, this isn't normal, and to move forward from it, you've got to look at it and come out of denial and accept it to move forward. So childhood, my parents got divorced when I was 3 years old. Very early on, prior to the conversation that we were having, my mom had gotten remarried. I think I was probably 8 years old, and that husband had molested me, and it had gone on. This had gone on. I was so young, I just didn't know. I knew that it was uncomfortable, and I think one night it finally came out. I just didn't know what to do with it. And I remember I'd said something to my mom, and everything happened so quickly. Out of nowhere, my father shows up, he picks me up. And, at that point, I don't even know if I saw my mom again for a long time. I don't remember court. I know every time they had me in court, I was taken back to this room. I would talk with one person and a tape recorder. They never had me in a room full of people, nothing like that. obviously like it had been, everything settled, like he got in a lot of trouble, everything like that. But the dysfunction, really started then. And I didn't understand. My mom was no longer a part of my life. Growing up, my dad did struggle with alcohol. I went to AA meetings with him as a little girl. So he had, his issues too that he worked through.
Did your mom side with him? Because you didn't see her for all that time. Did she like kind of stick with him?
Probably the first person that's ever caught that. Sometimes I bring it up and sometimes I don't.
We don't have to if you don't want to.
No, well, but it's the truth. Do you know what I mean? And, I've had to do like my process with it over the years, and nothing to say anything about my mom. She's one of the most important people in my life today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she didn't. And she told the courts that, and, it was ruled being an unfit mother, I think is what I was told. And, I spent however many years with my dad, and I think growing up too, just with all of that and the bouncing around, I don't have anything bad to say about my parents. I know now they love me the best way that they could, but it wasn't a lot. And I know that now looking back on it. So at a very young age, I was doing crazy things to get attention. I picked up, my identity was what you thought of me, right? Because I was missing from this parent and I was missing from this parent, and just always wanting to make them happy, but always feeling like I failed. So like at a very young age, right? When you were happy with me, I was happy with me. If I did something wrong and you were upset, or I even thought you were upset, my world came crashing down. It was, and I'm talking up into recovery. That's how I lived my life, where my self-esteem, my self-worth was 100% based off how you felt about me. And that's what I got into. I got into the rooms. I got clean at 25, and then even struggling with that in my recovery, but zero sense of identity growing up with friends and stuff like that, and just acquaintance and teachers. Like I just wanted so badly to be liked is what it came down to. And I wanted so badly to fit in. Eventually my mom did come back in my life, and we got to visitation again. But dysfunction was there. She went through a lot of boyfriends. There was partying. And I think my mom and my relationship, because there was guilt, because of siding, and then, finally coming to terms, we were best friends. That's where I started manipulating. I could get away with anything. Were you
an only child?
So I'm an only child with my mother and my father.
Okay.
Now, my dad had been married before me and had a daughter and a sister. So I have a brother and sister on my dad's side.
Half brother, half sister.
Half brother, half sister. And then I also have a half brother and a half sister on my mom's side.
She had him after you?
No, I'm the youngest out of everybody. By I think the next oldest, my sister Nicole, she is 38. So she's probably, I think she's 5 or 6 years older than me.
So you're like an only child.
I grew up like an only child, yes. Because growing up back and forth, like my brothers and sisters, everyone was visiting. Like nobody was with a parent, like indefinitely, permanently. But yes, I did grow up like an only child. And, and also fear, I'll tell you, of being like, dude, I was bullied. I was bullied out of my middle school. I got bullied so bad for whatever reason. I had changed schools, and it was a culture shock, and I got bullied out of my school.
What were you bullied for? Hey guys, quick update. Starting Monday, August 25th, I'm hosting a weekly open recovery meeting. It's for any addiction. Whether you're struggling with alcohol, drugs, gambling, food, you name it, everyone is welcome. If you want to get updates and the meeting link each week, just email me at kevin@riseabovepod.com to join the list. Again, that's kevin@riseabovepod.com. Put Rise Above Meeting in the subject, and I'll add you to the list. Lastly, so that we can continue to spread the message of hope, please drop us a like or subscribe. And on streaming platforms, if you could please leave us a rating, it helps us reach more people. Thank you so much.
Because I was just easy to pick on. I was that new girl, you know, and there was a lot of different culture in this school, and I was new. I was easy to pick on. I was scared, you know, and I didn't stand up for myself.
Yeah. Kids are fucking mean.
They are. And I'll tell you, I have a lot of anger. I've worked on my anger over the years, but like bullying is a big thing for me. Being protective, seeing any sort of bullying, I don't put up with it. Bullying is probably one of my number one pet peeves, where you will see an unspiritual side of me, which two wrongs don't make it right. But I can't. Bullying is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Nobody deserves to feel like that. Yeah. No matter what. You know what I mean? Nobody deserves to be bullied.
It impacts kids significantly.
It does.
You don't think it does?
Especially in today's world, you know, nobody deserves to feel like they're and a child too. That's the years of innocence where you're growing up and learning about the world. And yet you've got a group of kids or whoever that make you feel worthless and make you feel unloved, you know?
Yeah.
That's a whole other, we could go down that.
Of course.
It's so sad.
So you then leave that school.
I did. I left that school and I went back to another school. Now, mind you, in this period of time, there's so much in my childhood. I have now gone back and forth between my mom and dad. I tried to live with my mom and it didn't work out. And I went back with my father. That's been turmoil in itself. My mom and my dad over the years have never, once that happened, that relationship was never mended. They put up with each other, but there was no co-parenting. There was no, if anything, it was, you know, your mom's a bad parent because she did this, and this. And my dad actually used that against my mother. And that's how I found out that she didn't believe me. I was in high school and I wanted to go live with her. Mm-hmm. And he threw that in my face. You know what I mean? Well, when this all happened, do you know what I mean? She was on his side, you know, so why would you want to go live with her? Like that's the type of co-parenting that I grew up with. So again, falling into that zero sense of identity and just wanted to make everybody happy and, you know, just needing to be the fixer or whatever.
Yeah.
And with my friends too, you know, in high school, going to that new group of friends, like obviously I wanted to fit in, right? So again, like the type of clothes that I saw the kids in and the music that they listened to and even down to like the food that they thought was cool or whatever, like I vibed with what you vibed with because I knew I had a better chance of fitting in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, like that group of friends that, you know, smoked pot, and I had smoked pot here and there and drank, but, you know, we started skipping school and I didn't have that white light moment with alcohol. There was no, this is it. This has filled my, you know, that God-sized hole that we talk about. Like, I have arrived. If anything, I woke up with vomit in my hair the next morning and I had to show up for Saturday detention in 90-degree weather in Gulf Breeze, Florida at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I was freaking livid. Actually, it was horrible. And it didn't take off quickly, but it wasn't enough, right? Like I always started to go back. And then, you know, once the smoking pot and the drinking didn't become every day, but even just sort of regular, right? Like I'm an extremist. I'm all in or I'm not at all. There's not a lot of in between, you know? And my sophomore year, I just stopped going to school. I just stopped going to school. I didn't care. I didn't care. Like, I wanted to skip school and hang out with those kids where we smoked and stole 4 Locos from the gas station and like went down to a empty parking lot somewhere and just got drunk all day. Do you know what I mean?
And you were living with your dad at this time?
I was living with my mother.
Oh,
at
okay.
this
You went
time.
back to your mom.
Yeah,
okay.
I went back to my mother. So I was living there and no structure, right? I didn't have structure and I knew I didn't have structure. So, I stopped going to school and kept it up. I'm sure at times my family knew, like, going through school, like something was up, right? Like, I never walked across stage. I had an excuse for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Played it out that I was like an adult high, which I think I went like 2 days and just said, screw this, and I dropped out, and just over time, progressively, it became a constant in my life. And I mean, it just got to the point where I was so content. Like, I was at the bar on a Tuesday afternoon. I was getting hammered with my mother. I was, getting hammered with my friends, whatever the case may be. But I was a blackout drinker to the point to where, like, eventually nobody wanted to drink with me. Nobody wanted to drink with me. I was an angry drunk. I was either really fun or I was really angry.
Starting fights.
Oh, yeah. I've been kicked out of every single bar in my hometown because all you got to do is, like, maybe accidentally shoulder check me or even just pick your booger the wrong way or whatever. And you know what I mean? We'll fight. Yeah.
It's on.
For whatever reason. And it just got to a point, like, nobody wanted to drink with me and I didn't care. You know what I mean? At that point, my problem with alcohol was big. It was very big. And then 2012, alcohol related, I got into an almost fatal car accident. We had been drinking at a house party, my ex and I blacked out at some point and I let them drive and we had gotten into a car accident. I guess it had been raining that night. We were both shit-faced. I had a Jeep and apparently we were going too fast around a curve and my back tires popped up, hit the curve and it sent us into a forward flip. And I'll show you the pictures before I leave. Apparently we flipped a few times, hood over tail end. And at some point I went out the passenger window. I landed in the middle of the road. First responder announced me dead on arrival. And I guess he had known my mother and knew. And my mom had got a call that her daughter was dead at that point. Like, she's dead, flatlined. And I guess they had revived me. I think I was life flighted to Sacred Heart Hospital. I almost lost my right leg. I guess when I hit, the first thing that impacted was my hip. So I broke my femur like 4 or 5 times and I broke my pelvic bone with it like 3 or 4 times. So I've got a huge scar, which now you can't see because we've covered it up with ink. But it goes from my hip all the way to my knees. And then I have screws that go through my upper leg. Basically, it replaces my entire femur bone because I messed it up so bad. I was in the hospital. I don't even remember how long because before we finish this, I'm going to tell you the only reason I can tell you this is because of what my family has told me, what the doctors have told me, and just what people have told me because I hit my head so hard. I blacked out for an entire almost like month. It feels like I don't remember weeks leading up to my car accident and I didn't start remembering my days until I'd been discharged from the hospital. So this whole period of my life where I almost died and extremely traumatic, I have no recollection of it. It's like it never happened to this day. Small bits and pieces of like very quick flashes and then it's like it goes away. But to this day, 50 first dates, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, of course. Adam Sandler.
That was me.
Yeah.
Every day, my family had to tell me that I had been in a car accident, that I had almost died, that I almost had my right leg amputated, that my Jeep was totaled, like I wasn't going to be able to walk for a long time. Like every day we had to go through this routine because every day I would wake up and have no idea why I was in the hospital, no idea that I had almost just died and been in an almost fatal car accident. And to this day, if it wouldn't have been communicated with me, I wouldn't have known.
Did you go into a coma?
I didn't go into a coma.
Okay. Did they put you into a medically induced coma?
No, they didn't. There was so much fluid between my brain and my skull, and they said probably impact, trauma. It's probably my brain like storing it away as far, I guess, for like safety. You know,
it's trauma.
Exactly.
You're designed to forget that.
Exactly. So
the chemical makeup.
To this day, I have, zero recollection of that.
What was recovery like after you got out of the hospital?
I think I maybe did recovery for, I don't know. 'Cause I was in it at this point. Right. And this is a big part of my story where something like this with somebody who didn't have a problem and who didn't struggle, right? Like this is a big, hey, let's sit down and reevaluate where we are in life because you just almost died. Let's take a look at this. You know what I mean? You dropped out of school. You're not going to, let's reevaluate where we are in life.
Let's get life back on track.
Exactly. And it didn't, I'll tell you, I have a very addictive personality. So it's not just with drugs. It's not just with alcohol.
Well, you're sitting in that seat, so of course you do.
Yeah.
You're in the hot seat.
Exactly. But not just with substances, with people, with the gym, with sugar, with food. It does not,
anything.
If it makes me feel some sort of way and I get that like dopamine release, I can take it to a very toxic level if I'm not careful and I don't have this program. So at this point, drugs had never been a part of my life. Smoked pot here and there, maybe taking a pill here and there, but like I was 100% alcohol, just
blackout
all day,
drinker.
Blackout drinker, right? And again, there was no white light. Like I went through a period in the beginning where in like the first couple months where obviously they had me on a shit ton of pain pills. So I would take one, I would get sick, I would pass out, I would wake up, I'm trying to eat, take another one, get sick, pass out. Like we were in this cycle for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Until a month goes by and maybe it starts to wear off a little bit quicker, right? And now we're building up this tolerance and we're starting to take more. And at this point, I'm eating 100 Lortabs in 24 hours, 10 at a time, every hour, on the hour, breaking them in half and swallowing them.
Yeah.
Right? And at this point, I'm so deep into it, but never once did I think that I had a problem, right? Like I forgot that my dad was an alcoholic in AA and there was a solution and I had been to AA meetings, like all of that. It was like, it never happened. You know what I mean? Like I knew that something was wrong, but I couldn't stop.
Did you think you didn't know something was wrong, but you couldn't, or you did know something was wrong? I'm sorry.
I knew.
Well, because what I was going to ask is, did you think, because when I was in that mode, I know exactly where you are in your life. Like I was at that point, I knew it was problematic, but I knew I had confidence in myself. I said, well, I'm going to curb it eventually, a couple more years when I get that big job after college. 2 years into that big job, I'll stop it. Well, when I'm out of my 20s, I'll stop it. You know, so that was kind of my thinking. Did you experience that?
I was God. Are you kidding me? I could figure, you couldn't tell me anything. I was going to figure it out one way or the other, and everything was going to be fine. We were going to make it work. So got really heavy into pills and then obviously started running out of them early. You know, my doctor caught on and then, you know, they cut me off. obviously, right? So then what do we have to do? Now I've been cut off. Now I have to go to the streets, right? And of course, even, you know, in the bar scene or whatever, like I can find somebody, you know, and then I had to start going to the streets and then started getting involved with these people, right? And I say these people, I was those people at one point, you know, and eventually one day a friend, you know, you're killing your liver, right? They were worried about me. They were worried about my health. I'm killing my liver. I mean, all these pills, you know. Why don't you just try and shoot up? It's cheaper, it hits you a lot harder, and it's not as harmful. You know what I mean? You're not taking all these pills at one time, right?
Acetaminophen.
Exactly. And I was so fucked off in insanity that it made perfect sense. Yep. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm scared, but, and my girlfriend at the time, like she had done it for the first time, you know, at this point, because it was just pills. And, you know, I did it, and even still, there was no white light or anything. It was just already a part of me because I had already had this time with the pills. It was just a new way to do it. You know what I mean? And without even getting into, right, like we've all had our experience. Like I've been, you know, first time I was ever actually in jail, I spent 10 months in jail. You know, I've had my ribs cracked from CPR. I've overdosed and ended up in the hospital multiple times. I've been homeless. You know, I hated you because I hated me. And then I'll stop because I like for that to sit and register, especially with people who struggle with addiction. I hated you because I hated me. Zero self-worth, zero self-love. And that's a huge part of my story is like identity and finding that in this room, because the drugs and alcohol never did that and we're never going to do that. It was just numbing. You know, I've been in the psych wards. I've been Baker acted. There is literally probably nothing that I haven't experienced. Do you know what I mean?
So 2012, when that car accident happened, all the way till 2017, when you got sober, those 5 years is when all of that happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was already drinking really bad prior to that. But in those years, oh man, an atomic bomb went off in my life because I was go, full in, you know, I had zero desire to even try and figure out life. That was my life. That was my life. That was the new normal. And even the last 2 years of my addiction, my addiction was that needle. It didn't matter what it was. Like even having a preference to what I was doing was no longer a thing.
Yeah.
I was just using to use at a certain point. It was the whole addiction with the needle. Do you know what I mean? I was never going anywhere.
Can you explain to us what an overdose feels like? Well, at least from what you can remember.
You say, you know, that, yeah, I probably could. But I'm thinking about it. The overdoses that I remember, I feel like, I'll tell you, coming to is confusing as shit. There was one time I overdosed in a hotel room with one other girl. And I remember I came to, like, we were there and then it just, my world went black immediately. And then coming to, I wake up and I'm in this chair soaking wet because she had somebody come over. They had thrown me in the shower, turned the cold water on and let it sit there, I guess, until I started breathing. And then coming to and having no idea, having to have somebody tell me like, hey, you just almost died. If nobody would have told me, I wouldn't have known.
Oh my God.
You know, and I remember one time, this was through my relapse actually. I'm an overdose champion. Because I remember the first time I tried to get clean, it didn't work. I wasn't ready, right? Like I did things my way. I put down on paper what I wanted to put down. It was, you know, I went because the only way that my girlfriend was going to go at the time was if I went too, right? And, But during my relapse after the first time I tried to get clean, I remember I had overdosed at my mother's house and she found me. She thought I was dead. Scarred her for a long time. She still can't even really talk about it today without crying. Wouldn't go back into that part of the house, nothing. When I came to there, I had been Narcaned. They had done CPR. I remember coming to in the ambulance and it being so much noise and everything being so foggy and, just not knowing, and even still like being told that I had overdosed and they had to Narcan me and I was on the way to the hospital. Even still, it being so foggy, like, okay, I did overdose, but like, nothing just makes sense. It doesn't, until I got in the hospital and was hooked up and actually like back down to reality. Like, okay, I did just overdose, and I almost died. And then through that relapse, I ended up back in jail. I'm a huge jailbird, spent a lot of time in jail on felony probation.
What was the first thing you did to go to jail the first time?
So I have shitty luck. I had gotten pulled over. I don't even know how. And this young kid that I had in my car had like 10 ounces of coke that they had found. You know what I mean? I had had pills on me and I got a charge. It was controlled substance without prescription. I obviously violated. And that judge wanted to make an example out of me. Never been in trouble before this. Violated with like a dirty UA. Put me in 10 months right off the rip. Make an example out of me.
Where'd you go?
The first time was Santa Rosa County Jail. Like Milton, Gulf Breeze, Florida, all right there. And then I've spent time in Escambia County Jail, which is right next door to Santa Rosa County.
What was that like?
Oh, it was easy. Are you kidding? Yeah. It was easy. So going in, I'll tell you, I was scared shitless. But I'm an addict and I can maneuver and I can work and I get used to things. I'm very good at like navigating where I'm at. Manipulator. I can do this. I can get comfortable. First month was probably scary as shit. After that, actually, Ben, a friend, will tell you, like, yeah, Destiny used to run Cell Block C. I did not run Cell Block C, but I mean, I had a guaranteed 3 meals every day. I had a roof over my head, and we were still getting high in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was still, so it wasn't, I got used to it. After so long, you get used to it in jail and not seeing the outside and having like, to be able to actually, you forget about the luxuries in life because that became my new norm.
Yeah.
It sucked. Yeah, it fucking sucks, but you get used to it. And that was my new norm.
What was the craziest thing you saw in jail?
The craziest thing I saw in jail was probably every time I got in a fight and went to lockdown for like 10 days. It was county jail. Like you'd hear in like the guys' dorms or, whatever, somebody got shanked or a fight broke out. But at least the jail that I was in, like the women just ran their mouth. Cat fights, you know what I mean? Whatever. But I mean, I never saw anything super crazy,
Yeah.
Everybody just gets tired of each other.
So walk us through the last few months before you actually get sober this time in 2017 and how you ended up getting sober.
So that was through the relapse that I was talking about. So
how long were you sober the first time?
23 or 24, because the first time I tried to get sober was 2016. It didn't happen. I was sober like 4 months, and then I went through that whole time of relapsing. And then 2017, June 17th was actually the last time that I overdosed, because through that relapse, I had relapsed at my mother's house and I went on that run. I got locked up. My family was done with me. They're like, she's off somewhere. She's getting high. We don't know what to do. So I got a call, you know what I mean, to come report. We're going to do a drug test. Now, that is as wild as I will tell you the one thing I never did was run, flee, disrespect authority as far as like cops and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never got nasty or anything with any sort of authority anytime I was ever in trouble. And so I had overdosed. They called the PO or whatever. I had to go in, obviously failed, got locked up, got out. I was reported. I had to go report and stay with my grandmother because that was she lived in the county that I was in trouble in at that time. And within 48 hours of being released, I had overdosed there and she had found me. And the only reason that she found me was because her dog kept clawing at my bedroom door. It was closed. She had no intention of going in my room that morning. I didn't have to be anywhere, nothing like that. And the dog would not leave. The door was whining and barking, and she just happened to open it. And I was on my knees, and I had done my last shot ever, and I ended up falling back. So I had been laying on my legs for hours. And in the ambulance again, here we are again. And we're going back to the hospital. I call my PO again. And I had to report to him immediately after discharging from the hospital. And that, I can tell you, that was God that day, because he looked me in my face and he's like, Destiny, I got two things I can do with you. He said, I can send you up the road to prison because this is where you're at right now on how many violations. The time over your head is easily 3 to 5 years because you can't stop. Or you could go back to treatment because I know that you're not a criminal. Jail is going to do you no good. He's like, so here are your choices. You tell me what you're willing to do. And the fact that he gave me, I mean, obviously I didn't choose prison, right? Like we're going to go through treatment. And dude, at this point, like my family was done with me. I had exhausted everything. When I tell you I was so go and extremist, like the amount of times that I've overdosed and, you know, the things that I've had done to me, but then like also the things that I've done to people, I was an absolute fucking demon in my addiction. I was not a nice person. I didn't love because I didn't know how to love. I didn't like you. I didn't want to hang out with you. I didn't know how to be any sort of anything to anybody outside of my drugs. I didn't have a desire to, you know, and having that time over my head, it is a part of my story. It gave me the push that I needed, you know, to come back in this time. But I was so drained physically, mentally, spiritually. I'm 25 and I have no idea who I am as a person. I have no idea how to be a person, be a friend, be a daughter. I have no idea, zero life skills. I could put milk in a bowl of cereal, put a Pop-Tart in the, you know what I mean, toaster oven. But like outside of that, I dropped out of school. I had no desire for life. I had gone nowhere. I was nobody. I was going nowhere, and I had been nowhere. And I take 100% ownership for that. That is, you know, and I like to make that very clear. When I got into recovery and I was told about this program, everything that I just told you in my childhood, those were not the reasons that I drank and got high the way that I did. Regardless, now, was that freaking gasoline to the fire? 1,000%. The way that I grew up and how I lived and stuff like that. I took all of that as turmoil and used it for fuel to the fire. But regardless of all of that, I would have still ended up in this seat somehow because I know that I have the allergy and an addictive personality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So yes, all of that helped shape me and made my recovery what it is. But regardless, I would have drank and used the same fucking way. Because on a good or bad day, I was out there destroying my life the best way that I could. Do you know what I mean?
So your PO gives you the option to go away. You go away.
Yeah.
Did you go to an inpatient program here in Florida? Did you do sober living after that as well?
Oh, yeah. So this time when I came into treatment, I'm very big on, I went back to the detox res. It was an American Addiction Center facility. It was in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi. So like if I AMA'd, I had about 15 miles of nothing before I probably came across a street light.
That's good for you.
Oh, yeah. No, it was.
Right where you need it.
And I got done with that and I got sent down here and I went to a PHP and IOP for about 75 days. And just so happened while I was in IOP, guess what? I aged out of my dad's insurance. So at that point, thank God it clicked that like this is my do or die moment. I don't have insurance anymore, you know? And slowly letting God into my life and actually opening up and hearing these stories, you know, and just even opening that door a little bit. And I remember I heard this woman in a meeting one night and my God, her mouth did not match what was coming out. And the stories I was hearing, I was like, here's this elegant, beautiful, just humble woman in recovery. And she's talking about, excuse my language, you know what I mean? Sucking for crack back in the 90s. I'm like, holy cow, are you kidding? And it's just what I needed to grab my attention to see like, okay, that's where somebody was and this is where they are now. And at this point, do you know, I was so deep in that shame of like being nowhere in life and, you know, being on social media again. And I see all these friends and they have families and careers and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting in treatment, no license. I'm on house arrest, like no vehicle, no education at this point because I dropped out of high school. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, it was just like stab after stab after stab after stab of like seeing this in real time. Do you know?
If you're newly sober, for the listener who's just newly sober right now, do you strongly suggest they get off social media for a little bit?
Oh, 100%.
Take a hiatus.
100%. So anything, news, social media, all of that today for any, not even for a newcomer, especially for a newcomer, but it's so negative today.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, for a newcomer, oh my God, I love detoxing. Take the phone, take it. And of course that's hard, like being in those shoes, but yeah, take it. Take everything from me and just separate me from the world. Oh, dude, do you know how many times I talk about just going for a mental health vacation somewhere to get like stabilized or just to go sit?
Disconnect.
You know, just disconnect.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I would recommend that for the newcomer. 100%. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I completely spaced out about where I was. Where were we?
So you were just talking about, you know, comparing to your friends who were married and, you know, doing all these things. You're sitting in treatment. You go to the meetings. You hear this lady. You identify with the feelings. You don't compare yourself, right? By the outside, how she looks. What happened in the first 90 days to 6 months? Like, what were some of the things that were essential for you that kind of started to change your thinking and made it different than the first time you got sober?
Opening my ears and, I mean, you said it, identifying was a big thing, right? Because here's somebody who did not know how to have a relationship with somebody, whether it be romantic, family, acquaintance, whatever. I did not know how to have a relationship. And so that feeling of loneliness, right? That isolation. And look, in a meeting, man, people who have programs and who are doing this thing are you can just feel the unconditional love, right? And being able to identify and just that initial feeling of like not being alone and hearing these stories of where people used to be and then visually getting to see in true time where they are now. Like there's there's no denying that. You can't deny that because you're looking at it. Do you know? And there was hope in that. And then that woman, Bree, my first sponsor, like for whatever reason, that story and just her aura and her energy, I gravitated to it, you know? Mm-hmm. And man, that first 90 to 6 months, I'm a perfectionist. So when we got started with those steps, I'm talking like, dude, my 4th step, writing it down, I'm talking my handwriting is so, like down to that. Like I would erase something if I didn't like the way that I wrote it, and like down to that. I've done some work on it before I can see your face. There's a level of judgment. I can see it. I've done work on it. But I mean, I really went through my steps. And I stayed like on top of it, you know? And man, those steps, once I started to feel the healing and I could see it, and then the more of being open to listening to people who had experience and hearing their compliments of the growth that they were seeing, and like actually figuring out who I was as a person, and not being able to say like, this was my favorite food, or I enjoy doing this, or do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that was incredible. And then it just skyrocketed into this 4th dimension on this pink cloud, do you know, of just going through and really experiencing life in a healthy way, which I don't know if I had ever done before that, you know? It's going through the 12 steps was vital for me because it gave me even the smallest amount of self-worth, something that I was doing for me, you know? And the level of awareness that it gave me was incredible. Do you know? It wasn't until step 12 though that like my recovery really took off, because if you know me, you know that like someone who used to hate you, when I tell you I despise you, I didn't even know you, but for whatever reason, I hated you. And to turn around and get to sponsor somebody and like just offer support to somebody else was damn near life-changing. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? To just be able to do that. And I'll tell you what it was recovery gave me a purpose. And an addict and an alcoholic with purpose is unstoppable.
Yeah.
We are some of the smartest, most intelligent, strongest people I've ever met. Mm-hmm. You know, we just don't allow ourselves to use those qualities that we have.
You made a statement earlier. You said, I don't like you because I didn't like myself. Mm-hmm. What did you find out and learn about yourself through the step work?
I found out that I have a very big heart. I basically found out everything. Look at me, I'm going to get like all emotional. Basically what the steps said was everything that I didn't believe about me to be true, whether that, you know, having confidence or being smart or whatever. The steps just allowed me to look inward and learn to love who I was, which I'll tell you, and I've recently just figured this out. I don't know if you could put one word to like describe who I am as a person, because my experience through life and navigating and being such a people person and taking so many different versions of me, because those are the versions that I thought people wanted me to be. I have taken a lot of different, I don't want to say personalities, because then it makes me just sound like I'm crazy and navigating with like 21 different personalities. But
different pieces of who you were along the way.
Yeah.
And it made you that complete person.
So a piece from here stuck with me and a piece from here stuck with me. And I had a piece from here in this group. And so that is something that positive that I can take out of the way that I was living, because it allows me to be such a people person. I am such a people person. I can vibe with the president. I can vibe with, 10-time gangbanger, freaking whatever, been in prison his whole life. Like I can get down and connect with anybody. I'm a huge people person. I am. And that in itself, being able to turn around and give that back to somebody is the biggest thing for me today.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where we are on time, but the message that I like to give to the newcomer is, look, treatment is needed sometimes. Like treatment is needed. We all need that. Like we talk about how important treatment is, but like what I like to say to the newcomer is it's what you do out of treatment. When you get into the program and you get the sponsor and you get the steps, like that is where the solution is. Treatment is vacation compared to where you literally have to hit the ground running once you get into like that's where the work is. And once you get there, drugs and alcohol is such a small percentage of what the recovery is. Step one, let's just say we're talking about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Step one is the only one that mentions alcohol. That's it. The rest literally go outward to inward and have me look here and heal from here out. Like that's where the solution is in the step work and getting a sponsor and getting grounded in that. Like that's what will change your life. And it's so important because I believe in the depths of my soul, if I was getting high today, I would be dead. I would be dead. There's no doubt in my mind with the fentanyl and all this synthetic stuff that's going around, and there was like some fentanyl and stuff that I was doing like towards the end of my addiction, but we are in a war today and I'm telling you, we're losing. People are dying every single day. A friend thought he was buying crack during his relapse and had fentanyl in it and he died. And it doesn't matter what you do. I don't care if you do pills, if you smoke crack, if you shoot heroin, if you drink alcohol, it's in everything. And even the alcohol. Alcohol is one of the most dangerous substances because it's so socially acceptable and easily accessible to get. Do you know what I mean? So, and I knew a friend celebrated, he was on his 1-year anniversary. He was going to speak. And he got hit by a drunk driver and it killed him.
Is that here in South Florida?
Not here in South Florida. It was the first time, one of the guys, the first time I went to treatment with. It was in Mississippi. He was on his way to speak on his anniversary and he was killed by a drunk driver. And I know another alcoholic that had relapsed and just locked himself in his closet and shot himself. So it doesn't matter what it is. And especially in today's world and economy with all of this crazy stuff that's happening, with the fentanyl, like a 0.02 brings a 2,000-pound African elephant to the ground like that. It's an elephant tranquilizer. And we're putting it up our nose and in our veins and stuff like that. Like it is killing people. And today you have no idea what you're getting. Do you know what I mean? I know kids thought they were buying pills and it had fentanyl in it, thought they were buying crack, smoking weed. We've had kids come in for smoking weed that was laced with fentanyl. Do you know? Like it's not a game anymore. It is Russian roulette, 50-50 every time you do something today. And the amount of people in the last 5 years that have overdosed and not made it is astronomical. And it just keeps going up. The statistics just keep rising. And what I like to tell the newcomer is like, if you're in treatment right now, if you're in the rooms right now, like if you don't know how lucky you are, I'm going to be the first to tell you, you are very fucking lucky to be in the seat, because so many do not make it to that seat. So many don't even get the opportunity, whether it's the resources, not having the resources, not having money or insurance, or just never even getting the willingness to want to, you know, before you die or pass away. Like so many don't get this opportunity. And you got to experience it. It's the opportunity of a lifetime though. And you can say it all night long, but you have to experience it. You have to experience it. And it's just dangerous out there today. And for the newcomer, like, I don't tell them you could do it if I can do it. A newcomer can do it regardless, right? Like it's worked. It's a design for living. It's worked for how many alcoholics and drug addicts before us, and it's going to continue working. It just comes down to your willingness is all it is. It comes down to your willingness. It's not impossible. I already knew I was a piece of shit in my head. I just had to write it down, you know?
So this past Tuesday, you celebrated 8 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
8 years clean and sober.
I forgot we talked about that before the show. Yeah. June 17th,
That's amazing. Where are you at today? What does life look like for you today?
Holy cow. I like to do a lot of reflection around anniversaries, obviously. And, you know, my sponsor called me first thing Tuesday morning. How you feeling? Where you at? Everything. And I think the theme for me this past year has been remaining teachable and open-minded. This past year has probably been one of the hardest. I lost my dad suddenly. Actually, this month. June is a really messed up month for me right now. I lost my dad unexpectedly, and then Father's Day hit, and then my anniversary was right after that. So June right now is like bam, 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 because I'm only going into year one without my dad. So
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. This program that he worked and that I worked, though, I give it to God and this program, like, we had some years to mend and like create a really beautiful relationship before he went back home, you know? But, you know, with the loss of my dad, big navigating changes in life, you know, without remaining teachable. And I wouldn't have made it, you know, like it doesn't matter. We were talking about it. Time means nothing. For the newcomer, for somebody with 10 years, time does mean something. All right, let me correct that. But time comes with experience, right? Maybe I have a little bit more experience to give to the newcomer, to give to somebody, right? Like you've got more experience to give than somebody with a year, okay? But that's all that time comes with, right? Like my program is based on what I'm doing today. What I do in these 24 hours, right? Like last week doesn't keep me clean and sober today. There's nothing that I can do about next month till it gets here. Do you know what I mean? So like, sure, my experience I can pass along, but like my recovery is based on the 24 hours today. Do you know what I mean? And I completely blacked out again on what we were talking about. This happens. My memory's shot. This happens.
No, you're good.
Where are we going with that?
We were just talking about like your anniversary and how,
where I was at this year.
Yeah, with your father, anniversary, Father's Day, 1 year without your father. You got to remain teachable. And you just talked about, and then you went into just about time meaning nothing. And you constantly have to stay teachable and sharpen that sword, right?
Well, exactly. So like how I've had to, because my program over the year, it obviously evolves, right? And as my program evolves, like as I evolve, like my program will change with that, you know? But this year with the remaining teachable is remembering that I'm not alone, right? Like there are days I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to respond. Maybe I reacted rather than responded or whatever. But I've got these tools, right? Like this program has given me a toolbox of solutions that I've had to unpack some that I haven't used in a while over this last year. I needed support. I needed help to go through a new set of steps, like to utilize and to remember that even at 8 years, I don't know shit. Now that's for me. That's my program. That's not to say that everybody needs to think that way. But for me, keeping the mindset of I don't know shit keeps me open-minded to listening to other people and taking suggestions and knowing that like I've still got to stay in the middle of this. Do you know what I mean? So sponsor, home group, support, showing up for people. Do you know what I mean? Going through a new set of steps. Like all of this stuff is still very a part of my everyday life. It's not my entire life by any means, but it is a big part of my life. You know?
Yeah.
This program they talk about a life beyond your wildest dreams, and however cliche and eye-rolling and annoying that might be, it is true because I didn't have even the brain capacity to like imagine up a life like this today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, even down to like, being in school today, that was a big thing for me, right? Like a big thing of me being a nobody was like no education. And like over the years through people pushing me and reminding me that like I am something and like I do have qualities to like push me to get in school and get a GED to then turn around and get into college to like try and pursue a nursing career. There's different things. There is, and it's God, we could talk for hours. We could talk for hours about recovery. We could sit there and I could pages of what it's done for me, but you just have to experience it.
Yeah.
You have to experience it. And I mean, for the newcomer, they talk about insanity doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. But insanity to me is coming to a 12-step meeting or a 12-step program and not doing the 12 steps.
On yourself. Yeah. The work on yourself.
Like what are you doing?
The drinking, the alcohol, the drugs, the gambling, the sex, the eating, whatever you want to call it. Those are symptoms. Those are symptoms of the disease. That is not your problem. The problem lies within. I say this every episode. It's ridiculous. Because I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy that went into the 12-step program for 3.5 years, 2013 to 2016. And I did a couple steps just to keep everyone off my back. And then I stopped. And then it got a little boring. I needed a little more action. Now, gambling was never my issue, but let me place a sports bet. Let me do a parlay. And then I don't have money like this. I'm doing $10,000 swings every week. Like betting 10 grand, losing 10 grand, winning 20, losing 40 in sobriety. Like not drinking or drugging. And that's when I learned about the symptoms. It's not about, we're there not to drink and do drugs and et cetera, et cetera. But those are symptoms of the disease. The problem lies within. And we have to do the work on ourselves. That's why I asked you, what did you learn about yourself?
Everything.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a beautiful process.
And you said it and this was good. Everybody, a newcomer, a wife that's struggling with depression, somebody that, is a sex addict, gambling, gardening, I don't care, cheating. It does not matter. You could take those 12 steps and apply them anywhere in your life. You do not have to be an alcoholic. You do not have to be a drug addict. You do not have to be a sex addict, gambling addict. You could take that and apply it anywhere in your life and you benefit from it. And that's like, it doesn't matter what you're struggling with. You can apply those steps. And that's what I love about that is those steps are life-changing in any area of your life. How fucking lucky are we that we get that and that becomes our new way of life? People that thought we were nobodies, low lives, never going anywhere. We even thought that about ourselves, right?
Of course.
And then we get this design for living that is given to us freely by people who have done it and want to see us succeed with nothing in return. Like, we're fucking lucky as drug addicts and alcoholics that there's this program that's free at our dispense that we can utilize at any time. And it literally recreates and allows us to be our best versions. That's fucking cool.
I also learned that I wasn't as bad as I really thought I was of a person. I had all this guilt and shame of things that I had done, who I stole from, etc., whatever. And I realized that I wasn't that bad of a person.
No.
A lot of it was fear. A lot of it was just pure fear, resentment, all that good stuff. But today, you're a nurse today?
No.
So you went into the nurse program.
So I finish out my prereqs this year.
And you're in treatment.
I work in treatment. I'll finish out my prereqs. So I am in school too. And then I'll study for the state board exam next year, ideally. If everything goes well and I pass, then that would get me into the nursing program for 2027. So slow and steady wins the race. I got a full-time job and then keeping up with my recovery. And then, you know what I mean? So school is going slow. But just the fact that I'm in school and I'm making A's and B's and I'm not an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Which is what I told myself for a long time. Like, I'm an idiot and I would be so dumb in school and people would make fun of me. Yeah. And here we are.
Look at you. Well, congratulations on 8 years. And I really do appreciate you coming up here to come on the podcast and share your experience just to help someone else.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.